China International Import Expo. It's the fourth day of the expo. We're coming to you live from our Shanghai studio on the iconic Bund. I'm Zhong Shi, and with me here today is Dr. Jens Potvarkin, President and CEO of Porsche China. Welcome to our studio.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting.
Stay with us for our conversations later on our special coverage. Now, without further delay, let's take you to the Automobile Pavilion, which has attracted more than 50 enterprises this year. CGTN reporter Gao Wang is live for us there. Gao Wang, apparently you're at arguably one of the most fun and interesting and passionate sections at the expo. What do you have for us today?
Yes, Zhongxi, I'm super excited now. As you can see, I'm now driving a hypercar for the first time. The car you're seeing on the screen is called Apollo IE. It was developed by the global hypercar maker Apollo, and it's really super excited. So the car is not only virtual, but actually last year it was showcased at the CIIE, and it was also the most important car. And now let's get back to reality for a while. So next to me is the next generation of Apollo IE. It's called Apollo Evo. It's definitely one of the most eye-catching cars at the Auto Pavilion for this year's CIIE. So for more, I'm now joined by Mr. Frank Fan. So Frank is the CEO of Apollo EV China. It's a really great honor to have you with us today. So Frank, tell us more about what is so special about the car behind us.
Right, I guess you have experienced a great simulation, kind of driving experience on a simulator. The reason why I put this in is because last CIIE, we bring our last generation hypercar Apollo IE into the show and actually become one of the most eye-catching product in the show. That's why this year we'll bring the next new generation Apollo hypercar, which is Apollo Evo, here behind us. And you can see from this vehicle design, we actually carry over a lot of uncompromised design element. For example, because Apollo is the god of the light and the solar, we're adding a lot of lighting, illumination, design concept into that, from the daytime running light in the front, and also from the rear. You can see there's a 6-piece illuminated spoiler. When it light up and driving faster on the road, it will look like a sword getting fast into the ears. Very dynamic. So this vehicle is going to be very popular in the world. We guess, and we have a lot of confidence on that as well.
I see, and we can tell it's super cool. So I have a question here. The global trend has been electrification,
right, sure.
But for sports car and also for hypercar, driver experience also very important. So I wonder for Apollo, how do you make it to balance these two?
I think we actually also pay attention to this kind of a global trend right now. Everybody talking about carbon neutral and trying to drive an air clean, emission. That's why Apollo actually gained a lot of capability in terms of the design, engineering on the hypercar business. And we also bring another very stunning product to the show for this year behind us, which is the first 100% full electrified concept, Apollo eVision S. This is trying to demonstrate our vision and engagement into the new energy business, and you want to leverage our capability on a hypercar to come up with another idea and example to showcase our capability and commitment to the future carbon neutral trend.
Sure, so the car behind us is completely electric, exactly. Right?
Exactly. So this 100% electrified, and also we want to carry over a lot of design element from a hypercar into this vehicle, and we call it smart attribute because it looks more elegant and smart, but in a proper way. So in that case, we want to deliver a smart attribute design for this vehicle and deliver our design element in this vehicle, carry over from the hypercar.
So as we can see, it both has the features of a hypercar,
yeah.
But at the same time, it has some green efforts towards the goal of carbon neutrality. And notice here, There's something very special about a car vendor here at the Auto Pavilion because we have coffee here. Tell us more about this.
Yeah, because our group is called Apollo Future Mobility Group. So our vision is to deliver automated sustainability future of mobility. So we're not only manufacture or produce vehicle, but also trying to provide different kind of solution into the community and the society to drive the progress of a carbon neutral. So behind us, you can see this is a UMI concept. UMI stands for Universal Mobility Electrified. This is also electrified vehicle, trying to solve the pain point in the last kilometer and the logistic within the community. It became a very popular and practical example. It became a cafeteria if you need it. It can also become a very, very practical last kilometer logistic provider as well.
I see. So you are saying that we're going to see some delivery cars all electric in future.
I think our mutual goal is to generate a bright future and also a clean future, and eventually we want to deliver a sustainable future of mobility and drive the progress faster towards the carbon neutral.
Sure. Thank you so much. And this is Frank Fan, the CEO of Apollo EV China. And that's all from us. Back to you, Zhongshi.
Go on, fascinating stuff there. Thank you so much for that live report. Now, as promised, a studio conversation with Dr. Jens Patvarken, President and CEO of Porsche China. Dr. Patvarken, welcome to our special program here in Shanghai.
Thank you very much.
This is a big year of anniversaries. We're talking about 20th anniversary since China joined the WTO and 20 years since Porsche entered the Chinese mainland market. And it looks like Porsche has been a staunch supporter of the CIIE, having participated in the expo 4 years in a row. What are your reflections back on the CIIE over the past 4 years and also on the 20 years since Porsche came to China?
Well, you're perfectly right. We are happy to celebrate now 20 years of Porsche operating in mainland China. And we started in 2001 with only one single showroom on Chang'an Avenue in Beijing and delivering only 170 cars to our customers. Last year, we were able to deliver almost 90,000 cars to customers out of 140 roundabout sales outlets that we have. So it was a great journey that we were doing. And part of, as being an import company, part of that was that we wanted to contribute to CIIE because it's exhibition which is dedicated to import goods and import companies. And we wanted to also give back for the perfect environment that we got from the Chinese government in developing this country into the direction it went to, and also how China actually was really fighting the pandemic, which enabled us to continue our growth path.
China has made ambitious carbon reduction goals, peaking 2030, neutrality 2060. How important is sustainability for Porsche, and what moves are you making in line with China's climate goals?
Well, sustainability is one of our most important goals that we have at Porsche. Actually, we have defined a very ambitious and very firm target that we want to become CO2 neutral actually throughout the whole value chain until 2030 already. And this is quite ambitious if we look to all car manufacturers. And by doing this, we want to contribute obviously also to the target that the Chinese government has set for China. Actually, the first car that we've launched now being completely CO2 neutral is the Taycan Sport Turismo or Cross Turismo, which is then completely CO2 neutral. In the meantime, our production sites in Germany, in Stuttgart as well as Leipzig, as well as our R&D center, are all already CO2 neutral.
Let's talk about electric cars, which seem to be all the rage here in China. And domestic Chinese brands seems to be doing incredibly well. How does Porsche look at the Chinese appetite for electric cars, and how does Porsche's strategy fit into demands from the Chinese market and Chinese customers?
Well, we have decided to go into e-mobility, and the first model that we have launched is the Porsche Taycan, being a completely fully electric car. And we must say that this was very well received by our Chinese customers, and we are looking to very positive sales numbers also in China. The Taycan is the result of 70 years of development of Porsche. And actually, our founder 100 years ago already developed an electric car. So it's not completely new to us, but obviously now with the modern technology, we're going into that. And it's the first car now on our journey becoming a company which features very much e-mobility. So yes, it's the first step into a very bright but also very interesting future, I would say.
But that transition from traditional gasoline-driven cars to electric cars, is there a concern about carrying on the Porsche tradition, the Porsche image?
Well, at Porsche, we always make sure that whatever car we build, it's the Porsche in its segment. So when we launched the Cayenne 20 years ago, it is the sports car in the SUV segment. It's a true Porsche. And same holds true for the Porsche Taycan. So once you get into the car, once you sit behind the steering wheel, once you start to drive the car, you immediately know it's a Porsche, and there's no...
It's unmistakably.
Unmistakably.
Okay. I know that Taycans are on display in this section that Porsche has at the expo. Help us understand, if we do want to make it to that section, what can we expect? What can we see? What can we experience?
Well, we have, this time we have brought two Taycan, the Taycan 4S and the Taycan rear-wheel drive as being the entry version to the Taycan model line. And we're going to show you all the features that the Taycan has on display and has to deliver to our customers. And you can feel the functionalities and the innovations that we have put into the car. We've also brought two racing simulators to the booth, so you might be able to race on an e-race and get a kind of a Porsche feeling how it is to drive on the racetrack.
One more question, if I may. It was remarkable that Porsche was able to register a record sale last year amid the pandemic. What are your expectations for this year, and what do those record numbers tell you about the Chinese market?
Well, this year, for the first 3 quarters, we've been able to deliver around about 70,000 cars to customers, which is again above 2020. So we don't know what the final numbers would look like, but we are quite confident that we will surpass the results of last year. What does it mean to us? We believe the Chinese market is a very dynamic market, moving also towards upgrading consumption to the premium segment. And we are very happy to be able to participate at this growth.
Dr. Patvorkin, thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate your analysis and your perspectives.
Thank you very much.
And there's another group that's creating quite a buzz here at this year's CIIE. A delegation from South China's Hainan province are providing people access to cutting-edge medical equipment and drugs without the need to travel abroad. CGTN's Yang Chengxi has more from Shanghai.
It's 10 a.m. at the medical pavilion of the Import Expo.
Among the many participants is the delegation from the Lecheng International Medical Tourism Pilot Area. It is a special zone in southern China's Hainan province where companies can get special licenses for new drugs and equipment that are not yet approved in China.
Lu Xiaolei, Deputy Director of the Pilot Area's administration, started her day by attending a symposium at Boston Scientific. The company's star product, Resume, which treats benign prostate hyperplasia, has been one piece of equipment on trial in Lecheng.
Last year, this time, we showcased that technology. Within a month, we were able to operate a first patient in December in Boao, Lecheng.
The trial is expected to accelerate Resume's approval in China. Boston Scientific isn't the only company Liu has been meeting with. Her schedule is full. She's also attended a forum held by Pfizer and signed a memorandum of understanding with pharmaceutical company Novartis.
I have visited 13 pharmaceutical companies today in this pavilion.
So far, about 80% of the world's top 30 medical firms have collaborated with the Lecheng pilot area.
To be able to bring real-time innovation to Chinese patients, in some cases faster than they're bringing them to many of the Western markets, is really quite incredible.
This is inclisiran, Novartis' new drug that promises to help lower cholesterol.
We recently was approved in Europe. We're expecting approval in the US soon. In China, we're doing clinical trials that projects us a couple of years before launch now. But through a partnership with the Boao Lecheng administration, we actually had the first patient injected with inclisiran in July this year.
And Liu is on a mission to deepen such collaboration.
We want to build an industry chain for medical firms, research institutions, and insurance companies to work with each other.
Case in point, Lecheng's new insurance scheme that was launched last year.
5 of our new overseas drugs have been included in the scheme. That means they are not only available, but now also more affordable.
Lecheng is an example of China's efforts at medical reform, which experts say has accelerated in the past 5 years.
The industry in China has become more innovation-driven. It's manifested in policies. One is the acceleration of the approval of drugs and equipment. Two is that the regulator is adhering more and more to international norms.
The speed of such reform is perhaps manifested in Liu Xiaolei's jam-packed schedule at this Import Expo. Yang Chengxi, CGTN, Shanghai.